Assalamualaikum and good morning. My name is Mama Afita Kifbe Razali. So today I want to present about what I learned on this project. First thing, our project site located at Jalan Chaurasta, Georgetown, Penang. It is underwent a proposed amendment and addition to 4 existing two-story shop house. The owner of this building is Upper Heritage Sdn Bhd and the architect is A.R. Ooi Bok Kim. The thing I learned in this project is the requirement of building plan submission. The first thing is the submission of plans for approval, which is according to the bylaw 3, all the building plans need to submit to the local authority for approval. This means that a building plan that is not approved is an illegal building and poses a risk to the people. For this building plan approval, there is a person called Principal Submitting Person or PSP, which is the architect or engineer need to submit these plans building to the local authority for approval. Next, I learned about all the buildings need to have the scale of plans according to the bylaw 9. This plan must not less than 1/100 and use the appropriate scale when drawing the location of the building plans. Which this is means the building plans draw below the 1/100, it is can use or will be rejected by local authority. Next, according to the bylaw 10, the plans need to show the necessary details such as a lot number and section number of the building. In addition, the site must have a road access and the street name on the plan. In addition, the plan site must have the size and the area of the building on the plan required by the local authority. The plan also need to have the other elements required by local authority as well as such as proposed drains, scale, north point, all elevation drawing and the floor plans drawing.
X requirement of building plan submission for the details and calculation of structural plan is that according to bylaw 16, one copy of detailed structural plan together with structural calculation shall be submitted before the commencement of construction. A detailed structural plan shall bear a certificate by the submitting person as Form A, and that person should accept full responsibility. Besides, X requirement for the specification in building plan submission is that bylaw 15 states that plans submitted for approval must include a specification of all proposed materials if so required by the local authority. Next, X for the temporary permit is also required in building plan submission. In bylaw 19, temporary permit may be issued by the local authority for certain purpose is erection of sheds, erection of builders, working sheds or store, and depositing building materials on street. However, in bylaw 21 stated that no person shall deposit any building materials in any street without temporary permit stated in bylaw 19. The person who has such permit shall, at his own expenses, cause such materials to be sufficiently fenced and enclosed until the materials are removed or otherwise made secure to the satisfaction of the local authority. Materials should be lighted in the hour of darkness, and a watchman should be employed to ensure this is done. Certificate of completion and compliance is one of the important acts in submission of building plans. According to bylaw 25, submitting person should issue CCC in Form F after all technical conditions imposed by the local authority have been duly complied, essential service provided, and the building completed in accordance with the Act, bylaws, and approved plans. Certificate of completion and compliance and the partial CCC shall not be issued until all the failure or non-compliance of the building has been satisfactorily rectified.
Next, I want to talk about the partial certificate of completion and compliance. The principal submitting person can issue a partial certificate of completion and compliance for all partially complete buildings subject to local authority condition for public health and safety. If the building is lack of necessary service like access road, landscaping, parking lot, water and electrical installation, refuse, disposal, and fire leave, no partial certificate will be issued. The certificate remains valid until the entire building is completed and a certificate of completion and compliance is issued in accordance with Bylaw 25. The document outlines the requirements of obtaining a certificate of fire safety, fitness, water supply, electrical power supply, and local authority confirmation. The Fire and Rescue Department required the certificate for residential buildings, while the Department of Occupational Safety and Health required fitness certificate. Water supply confirmation are required from the Water Authority, sewerage clearance from a certifying agency, and electrical power supply confirmation from Tenaga Nasional Berhad. If a confirmation letter is not received within the 14 days of application, it is considered given. The document also includes a letter from the relevant local authority or public works department. Move to offences. If the principal submitting person fail to deposit the certificate of completion and compliance or partial certificate within the specified period, as well as from G1 to G21 with the local authority and Board of Architects Malaysia or the Board of Engineers Malaysia, they will be liable for an offence. Additionally, if they fail to comply with the notice issued by the local authority regarding the rectification of building failures or non-compliance with bylaw, they will also be liable. Okay, next we move to fees for consideration of plans and for permits. The principal submitting person or the submitting persons must pay the fees in accordance with the first schedule by this bylaw for plans and specification for approval of building permits or temporary permits in accordance with this bylaw.
Now, I will proceed with requirement, condition, and procedure of certificate of completion and compliance. In Malaysia, approving a construction plan is a crucial stage in the development process. This include the application for development permission like the approval of the building designs, the approval of infrastructure plan, and other necessary procedure to ensure that the principal submitting person PSP in charge of the building complies with all laws and regulations. The second one is the permission to create such structure in compliance with a set of rules and regulation is what is meant to be granted by the approval of building plans. Anybody wishing to start a building activities like new construction or modification to existing structures must first obtain pure consent from the relevant local government as per the applicable provisions of the State Municipality Acts. The purpose of the building plan approval is to enable efficient the processing, monitoring, uniformity of building fees and other costs, and quick processing and disposal of building plan approvals. Next, with the implementation of the Street Drainage and Building Act 2007 on April 12, 2007, a new term, the Certificate of Completion and Compliance (CCC) was created. And then, the Certificate of Fitness for Work (CFO) is to be replaced by the CCC. According to the Uniform Bylaws of the Street Drainage and Building Act 1974, the CFO was issued by the local authority under the Act 133 system. Next, the new CCC, which is based on self-regulation, is issued by the private sector. And last, the LAs no longer have much responsibility for the project as the experts like architects, engineers, and building draftspeople. Its goals are to improve home buyer protection, reduce local government red tape and bureaucracy, and boost the effectiveness of public offerings. CFOs will still be appointed to ongoing projects, like the CCC only applies to new ones.
Next, I will present a topic of understanding the Cost Completion Certificate or CCC issuance process for housing project. My name is Eddie and I will be guiding you through each step of this process, ensuring that you have a comprehensive understanding of what is required, the condition involved, and the procedure to follow. Let's start with an overview of the entire process. The CCC issuance process can be broken down into the four main steps: submission of the B form, commencement of construction, completion and inspection of the construction stage, and issuance of the CCC. We will dive into each of these steps in detail. The first step is the submission of the B form. The applicant or the PSP must fill out the submit this form to the OSC or one-stop center counter. This form normally initiates the construction process and provide the necessary information to the building department and the PBT, which is the local authority overseeing the project. Once the B form is submitted and approved, the next step is the commencement of construction. This marks the beginning of the building process, and the building department and the PBT coordinates these phases and ensure that all initial requirements are met following the construction to proceed. Now we move on to the completion and inspection of the construction stages. This step is divided into two main phases. Step 1, which cover the substructure G1 to G3, and stage 2 and 3, which cover the superstructure and service G4 to G21. When step 1 is completed, the applicant or PSP submits a notice of completion to the OSC counter. The OSC counter then forward a copy of this notice to the relevant technical department for verification and inspection. In stage 2 and 3, the PSP continue to supervise the construction work. Various authorities inspect the work at this stage, including BOMBA for fire safety compliance, JKPP for the public works compliance, JKR for the local engineering standards, TMB for the electrical installation, JPP or SPAN for water services compliance, JBA for the water authorities standards. This inspection ensures that all aspects of the construction meet the requirement standard. If any issue of non-compliance or deviation from approved plan are identified, the SOC counter at PBT submits a report to the SOC committee. The SOC committee reviews this report, endorses them, and provides necessary instruction for the correction or further action. Finally, we reach the issuance of the CCC. After all inspection and correction, if any are completed, the certificate true copies of the CCC and G form are submitted to the professional board of the PSP and the building department of PBTS. The original copy of the CCC is given to the developer or owner. This final step ensures that the construction project complies with all relevant standards and regulations, and the CCC is formally issued. In summary, the CCC issuance process involves several key steps, starting from the submission of the B form to the final issuance of certificate. Throughout this process, multiple departments and authorities are involved to ensure that the construction meets all required standards and regulations. Understanding this process is crucial for the smooth and compliant construction project. Next, we are moving to the differences between the Certificate of Fitness (CF) and the Certificate of Completion of Compliance (CCC). Let's begin with some historical context. The Certificate of Completion and Compliance (CCC) is a newer system introduction by the Street Drainage and Building Act 2007. It was designed to replace the Certificate of Fitness for Occupation (CFO) under the Uniform Building Bylaws of Street Drainage Building Act 1974. as known as Act 133. This change was implemented to streamline the certification process and address some of the challenges faced with the previous system. The first major difference between CF and CCC lies in issuing authorities. CF e-certificate is issuing by the local authorities as known as PBT under the Uniform Building Bylaw of Act 133, while CCC, in contrast, the CCC is issuing by the Principal Submitting Person or PSP. The PSP is responsible for submitting building plans and can be a registered building draftsman, professional architect, or professional engineer. This shift in authority is intended to decentralize the certificate process and place greater responsibility on professional individuals. Other key difference is the scope of issue each certificate address. The CF deals with both technical and non-technical issue. This means that the local authority not only check the technical compliance of the building but also other factors like administrative and procedural requirements. On the other hand, the CCC focus solely on technical issue. This includes ensuring that the building meets all relevant technical standard and regulation, but it does not involve non-technical aspect. The process and documentation required for each certificate also different. For CF, the process involves the submission of Form E. Developers are typically allowed to hand over vacant portions of a building to the buyer upon receiving a confirmation letter from the appropriate authority. This letter verified that Form E, a statutory form used for CFO application, has been duly submitted and approved. For CCC, the corresponding Form U is Form F. This form ensures that all technical standards are met and the building is compliant with relevant regulation. The submission and approval process is managed by the PSP. To summarize, here are the key differences between CF and CCC. CF issued by the local authority PBT, while CCC issued by the Principal Submitter Person PSP. For the scope of issue address, the CF address both technical and non-technical issue, while CCC focus only on the technical issue. And for the submission forms, CF use Form E for submission and approval, while CCC use Form F for submission and approval. These changes aim to streamline the certification process, improve efficiency, and place greater accountability on professionals in the construction industry. Let's discuss the implication and benefit of transition from CF to CCC. The CCC system aims to make the certification process more efficient by decentralizing it and reducing delays, while for the accountabilities by replace the responsibility and qualified professionals like architects and engineers. The CCC ensures a higher level for technical compliance and accountability. The CCC's focus on technical issues ensure that buildings meet all safety and structural standards, potentially reducing the risk of non-compliance. In conclusion, the transition from CF to CCC represents a significant change in how building compliance is managed in a construction industry. By understanding these differences, stakeholders can better navigate the certification process and ensure that their projects meet all necessary standards.